This call is being recorded.
Well, that makes two of us that are recording calls.
Well, I don't think this sounds good in front of any rational person. You're trying to tell me stuff that clearly isn't true. You tried to tell me that a warrant and a motion and an order are all the same thing and they're all in one piece of paper. That's not what happens at all.
Well, I didn't say they're all in one piece of paper. I said they're all in one packet, the one that you received when I first earlier.
You tried to tell me that the motion for a contempt hearing was the same as a court order to take my kids. That's not the same thing.
That the motion and the order and the warrant are all in the same packet. Don't try to put words into my mouth.
That's what I heard you say. Okay, so you're telling me that the order... Okay, go ahead. You keep talking over me. Are you only going to talk when I'm talking, or... Because there's no signed order at the court from the judge. There's nothing on the docket. There's no warrant on the docket. I called, and there's no warrant on in their system at all for this case number. So you guys, you gave me a warrant that doesn't exist in the court. So that's the biggest problem. Then you're telling me that a motion for a contempt hearing, which they filed for before, that was before the 3rd, then they motioned to ask for a hearing for contempt. They got a hearing on the 3rd. Then they applied for a warrant. It's called an application for the verification of issuance of a warrant. That was supposed to have the order for taking my kids attached to it. That didn't happen. That's in the this is all in the statutes. And like you're telling me I don't know the law, but I had to tell you that 1061D says that you guys have to give me 3 different documents, not one. They're not all the same thing. There's one that's called an order, one that's called a warrant, and one that's called a petition. I know what the 3 different ones are. You can plug that into any AI thing, and it's going to tell you, if you only got a warrant, that's a big problem.
You're just going to create your own narrative on how you want to see this whole deal. So I'll just let you continue to create your own narrative and just listen until Lieutenant Romer comes back.
Okay, because it's not my own narrative. This is what I just read in the... It's what I read in the statutes. If you're trying to tell me that the statutes don't say that you need a warrant and an order and a petition are to be served to...
I told you the packet you received the day you got your kids removed from you is all you needed.
Yeah, and what was in that packet, sir?
The motion, the warrant.
Which motion?
Order.
Which motion?
The petition, the order, the warrant, and that packet you received.
The petition, the order, and the warrant. Is that what you said? Okay, so if I got a petition, an order, and a warrant, is that what you said?
What can I help you with, Jeremy?
You just said I got a petition, an order, and a warrant, correct?
4th time. The packet you received on the day your children were taken away from you is what you needed. To be
right, and what did that include?
I was not there. I don't know.
But you just told me.
I told you the packet you received?
Yeah, you said you got a petition, an order, and a warrant. It was all in your packet. That's what you just said. Do we have to play it back? You just said that.
Sure, go ahead. The packet you received on that day, I wasn't there. Is all you
So how
needed.
do you know I got it? So how do you know I got it?
Our conversation earlier, wasn't it?
I said I didn't get it. Now you're telling me I did, but you weren't there.
I don't know what you got. All I know is you got served and your kids...
Hey, how can you say you don't know what I got, but you know I got served?
Yeah, obviously you got served, right?
No, I didn't. I didn't get served anything.
Okay, so now you didn't get served anything.
No, I got a warrant that doesn't exist in the system. I didn't get a petition, and I didn't get an order from the court. And I still, to this day, have not seen a signed order from a judge. The court's telling me that there's no warrant in the system, and they're also telling me that the petition online doesn't have a warrant attached. When I talked to the people at the court, they said that's highly unusual. They didn't understand it either. They said they'll have to get back to me. They don't know what's going on. But they didn't tell me, try to gaslight me and say that I'm just crazy and trying to fight the system. I don't know where you guys get all this stuff from. I follow the law. and I don't get in any trouble. I don't ask you guys for anything. Why am I the bad guy because my kids get taken and I go, hey, what happened? And then when I find out that nothing that was supposed to happen happened the way it was supposed to, you sit there and try to make it sound like I'm just crazy and try to gaslight me and I don't know what I'm talking about.
Never said anything about you being crazy, so those are your...
No, you said I'm just making up the law. You said I make up the law the way I want it, blah, blah, blah. You read something in a case file about something. You probably read the case thing and it said, he's a sovereign citizen or something like that, like you guys like to say. And so you just go, oh, well, he thinks he can just make up the law or something like that, right?
It sounds like you read a lot of AI stuff on the wall and you think you know what you're talking about. Don't you see how that comes across to me?
I know I read, you know what I read? I read the Arizona revised statutes. I read the Arizona revised statutes, and I had to point out to you that what 1061D said. I knew it before you did, and that was for that particular statute. It's for taking custody with the warrant. So like the actual statute that you need to know for taking custody of kids that is directly pertains to this matter, I had to tell you what it said.
Oh, you did? Not the ARS.
Well, I told you that it said that you needed a warrant, a petition, and an order for like the 1800th time. I've told you, you need those three documents. And then you said, oh, well, I don't need that. We got them all. We had everything that you need. You just say, I got everything I need. And then when I ask you for details, you're like, well, I wasn't there.
You got served everything you needed.
Yeah, but you weren't there, so that's just hearsay.
We're not in court, Jeremy.
It's hearsay. It's hearsay. You're telling me that I got something and you weren't there.
For you it is, but we're not in court, so.
Whatever. You can call it whatever you want. You said I got something. You don't know what I got because you weren't there.
Clearly, you don't even know.
By your own admission. Huh?
Clearly, you don't even know what you received.
I know exactly what I got. I got a warrant that was basically not in the system. It's what's called an undocketed warrant. It's a warrant that's supposed to have been filed into the system. It's supposed to be filed, which means it goes into what's called the docket, so that when you go to Superior Court, Maricopa, or whatever, it shows all the things for the case, all the different documents that have been filed in the case. There should be one that says warrant, but there isn't. And then there's also supposed to be, I also got the motion that they submitted for a hearing about contempt that I never got found in. If I'd been found for contempt, you guys would have been arresting me on the 8th. But I wasn't found in contempt.
Is the 8th the day that the kids were taken away?
Yep. That motion you gave me was for a contempt hearing on the 3rd. They had the hearing. I was never served for the hearing, so they didn't issue a contempt, any kind of contempt charges because I was never served in the first place.
Well, we're going to.
So he couldn't. Well, I mean, I'm just a little bit peeved though because I think that there's been a lot of accusations towards me, and I'm not the one who went and took somebody's kids without a warrant. I mean, do you have kids, Sergeant Moore? Would you be upset if somebody came and took your kids and they didn't have the proper paperwork?
Well, it'd be difficult. So,
It'd be difficult. How?
Yeah, just the whole difficult because I'm married.
Well, let's say they went and figured out a way. Maybe they said DCS has decided to take your kids. And we got a warrant to take your kids. Wouldn't you be upset if they didn't have the proper paperwork?
Of course.
Well, I think I have a right to be upset when I know that the proper paperwork wasn't there. I have a motion for a contempt hearing that happened, nothing happened, and then they filed for an application for a warrant without an appropriate order, a signed order from a judge. They did not have one. And so they got their application for the warrant wasn't even appropriate. It's void. And then they get this warrant, and then the warrant's not even in the system.
Are you saying Miss Brown did everything wrong?
No, I'm saying, well, her attorney must have done some magic. I don't know how she got a warrant based on no signed order from a judge. That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Like Brown
But
did everything.
the fact is that she go ahead.
I think Ms. Brown did everything correctly she needed to. She got an attorney.
I don't think she did anything. I think she hired a lawyer, and the lawyer did everything.
Her and her attorney looked over everything. She told her attorney everything that her attorney needed to know. She filed all the correct paperwork with the correct court. And I
would dispute that. She didn't sign all that. She didn't get all the correct paperwork. She didn't have a signed order. Somebody has to sign a paper that says you can take the kids, because the reason why that's important is because someone has to take liability.
Sounds like she did everything perfect.
Well, she didn't, because, like I said, her application doesn't have the signed order attached to it, and it needs to have that.
Online or?
Online, yes. You can attach, when you file documents into the e-filing system, you can file a main document in, and then it says, like for an attachment, you can attach other documents to it. When they file their application for a warrant, they have to attach the order from the judge saying you can take these kids, and it's got to be signed by a judge. But she didn't attach any order, signed or unsigned, to her application because there wasn't any verified order.
That means anybody can just go online and look it up and find it like you did.
Exactly, except it's not on there. That's the problem. Not only is it not on there like it's supposed to be on the e-filing system, it's not in there. And then I called the court to say, hey, where is it? And they go, we don't know. We don't have anything in there. That's where this call to Anna came from. I called up there and said, okay, where is the order? There isn't one. Well, what about the warrant? There isn't one. So you guys have a warrant, but the court doesn't. This is where the main problem is. Because it comes back to the warrant. The warrant, they don't have it. You guys, I called them up and you said, oh, yeah, I have that warrant. And then when I called the court, they go, what warrant?
Where do you think we got the warrant from, Jeremy?
I don't know. The court says they don't have it. So who did you get it from? That's a good question. The court says they don't have it.
The copy you got in your hand is the same copy we gave to you.
Where did it come from, though? Because the court said they don't have that. They don't have a record of it.
The judge who signed it.
Yeah, but the judge has to file that into the court. Where is it?
And that's what Lieutenant Romer went to go help and trying to figure out for you.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like them to at least put that on the docket so that it's a legitimate thing now. But it's like, I don't know why everybody's telling me I'm the crazy one when I'm saying, hey, look, I just called the court. They're telling me there is no warrant.
But you have a copy of it, though.
And why would I have a warrant to take my kids in the first place? My kids aren't in any imminent harm. My kid is suffering right now because he's got a recital on the 28th. He's 12 years old. He's going to be playing a Mozart sonata in C. And he can't practice now because he's been taken out of his home. The kid's been crying about it. He's all upset. He's been asking me and his grandma when he can come home. His mom is sitting there being abusive towards him. I don't understand why you guys are sitting here telling me like I'm the bad guy.
We're not on anybody's side, Jeremy. We're just
it sure sounds like it. It sounds like you're firmly on my ex's side. I mean, she attacked me. She's got a DV. Let me ask you something. If you're going to be honest with me, how hard is it? How hard is it for a woman to get arrested when she makes a DV call? How often, when the cops come on a DV call, they automatically assume they're going to arrest the dude?
I would say 80% of the time, yeah.
Correct. So when for a woman to get arrested, it has to be kind of like pretty damning evidence. And when you have two witnesses, one of them's a kid, and you have all kinds of physical evidence, that's why they charged her with assault. So it's an open and shut case. She's going to be found guilty of assault on July 1st when she has her bench trial, because she's not going to get out of a bench trial. She's going to be found guilty. That's almost 100%. It's like 99% she's going to be, you know as well as I do, bench trials are even harder to win than a freaking jury trial. She's not going to win it, especially with all the evidence. She has nothing going for her.
Sounds like, are you a victim in that situation?
I am the victim. She went bananas like a crazy lady, and started punching and kicking and scratching on me. And I just let her do it. I didn't fight back at all, because what are you going to do if you're a guy? If you even do anything, they're going to go after you. So I just let her beat the shit out of me. And then I have marks all over my body that they took pictures of. And now she gets arrested. And then suddenly, after 12 years annoying me, suddenly she has to report all this stuff to her lawyer. Oh, he's been abusing me. Oh, and based entirely on the word of somebody who assaulted someone and then violated her court order, because then she came back here a week later knocking on my door when she had a court order to not show up here. Not only that, she also stole all the money out of our family's company, embezzled it. Then she stole money. It was an old couple's deposit, because we do senior home care. She stole their deposit. She also committed wire fraud, calling up one of the life insurance companies and trying to get one of the wires that goes into the company redirected to her business. So she's under investigation for that right now. And somehow, on her word alone, she's able to take the kids out of their home that they've lived in their entire life. How does that happen?
She's got a good attorney.
She's not. Her attorney has been an attorney for 1 year.
Sounds like she knows what she's doing.
No, it sounds like there's a system that's very biased, is what I think. A system that's very biased. Or, like I said, my suspicion is, I know her uncle's kind of powerful. He's a director of a pharmaceutical company. His dad was like a chief back in Nigeria, which means he's like some kind of high-ranking Freemason or something. So I don't know if there's some kind of backroom deals going on, but protocol wasn't followed on this. I know that for a fact.
All right.
So now my kids are all upset because they haven't seen their grandma for over a week. They haven't seen their dad in over a week. They're stuck with their crazy mom and her boyfriend, who can't even take care of them because he's gone most of the time. They only got one car between them. So like a lot of times they're stuck at home with her. He can't practice piano for his recital in a week. It's totally screwed up our lives. And then when I say, hey, look, this isn't even legitimate, how this went down, you're like, oh, you're just a sovereign citizen who makes up the law and thinks everything. Like you just assume I'm the bad guy as soon as I say, hey, things didn't go down right.
Jeremy, I didn't say you were a sovereign citizen, okay?
No, but you talked to me like you might as well have. You might as well have, because you said, what did you say? Oh, you're just kind of making up the law and you think you know the law and you know this and you're that. And it's like, no, I looked it up. I did. I can read statutes like an adult. I'm not stupid. I started my own web development business and was self-taught. I taught myself coding 12 years ago now, and have been running my own business ever since. I don't think you can be stupid and have your own business and support yourself in a town like Gilbert if you're a dumbass.
No, it doesn't. I've never said any of those things. I can tell you're a well-educated man.
Well, I appreciate that, but I mean, the call didn't start off that way.
You want to make this about you and me, and it's not.
It's not about you and me. It's about the protocol. It's about the statute saying this is what needs to be done, and it didn't get done the way it was supposed to be done. There was a lot of sidestepping of the rules to get to this point.
You want to say something was done procedurally wrong, and it wasn't. I've
already filed. Look, here's the thing. I've already filed multiple motions saying that it was done procedurally wrong, including putting an open challenge out to her attorney saying, hey, where's your signed order? Where's your authority on this? She couldn't reply. Nobody's given me any answer. When you say, hey, how is this done? And no one can answer what authority, what law. They can't point to a law and say, this is the law that says we can do what we can do. I can point to the law and say, this is what needed to be done. I can say that 1061D, boom. I can point to, I think 1054 that says that the petition has to have the order attached to it. I've already read all these statutes. I read through family law procedure. It's Arizona Rules of Family Law Procedure, ARFLP. I know all the different rules now for a judgment. It says temporary orders need to be enforceable. A temporary order has to be signed by a judge to be enforceable. They do not have a signed order anywhere in the system. So I'm very, very curious because my kids have been gone from me for I've lived with them every day of their lives. Okay? Up until now. I've had my oldest son is 12. I was the first person here, he got a C-section, my ex, and he was all crying, and I went over and talked to him, and he settled him down. He knew who I was right from the very beginning. We've got a very tight bond. And then this lady comes in with her fake accusations only, a bunch of fake accusations, and then protocol's not followed. I'm not getting served any paperwork. They just move forward in the courts without me, and then they take my kids. And not only that, hey, get this. The guy ruled twice that there was no cause for imminent harm because nothing in any of her paperwork alleges anything about abuse towards the kids. Nothing. Nothing at all. And so he actually denied their first motion. They motioned to have the kids taken away back in May. And he said, well, I don't see any reason for imminent harm. I don't see any proof of any imminent harm. So somehow, within a couple weeks, suddenly there is imminent harm. How does that happen? With no new information coming forth. Suddenly it went from there's no evidence of imminent harm, but 2 weeks later, they haven't learned anything else to learn. No new evidence is submitted to the court, but suddenly now there is imminent harm. How does that happen?
Lieutenant Romer isn't back yet, so you want us to call you back when he gets here? Figure out what's going on?
I have a feeling that he's going to be there for a while because there's probably something that's not making any sense to him either. There's a real head scratcher because they're going in there going, well, this warrant doesn't seem to exist. That's what they're telling him right now. And he's going, well, I got a warrant. And they're going, well, we don't. So if I go over there and get my kids right now, you guys don't have a warrant. You don't have an order. But because you already have this predisposition, you're going to be like, oh, well, we got to throw this dude in cuffs because he went to try to get his kids back. Right?
That's probably how it would go, yeah.
Exactly. So, I'm trying to get you guys to understand what's going on so I can get my kids back because my kids are important to me, and I got to fight for my kids. That's all I have in this world is my kids. That's the center of my world. By the way, when she hasn't lived here in 3 years. She'd go for months without talking to him. And then she tries to say, oh, I'm withholding them from her in her allegations. She could call whenever she wanted. She walked in and out of the house whenever she wanted. She got a court order that she couldn't come over here. And so this is her way of getting the kids because she can't come over here.
Sounds like a difficult
She still
situation.
could call. She could call. My mom lives with me. She can call grandma at any time and say, hey, I want to talk to the boys. It was that unimportant to her. So you gave the kids to somebody who doesn't even give a shit about them. And you're telling me I'm crazy for fighting for my boys. I'm not going to accept that. I'm sorry. I need to know what's going on and why my boys were taken from.
I wouldn't either. Was it a girl and a boy or two boys?
2 boys.
Oh.
Almost 9 and 12. The 12-year-old, is actually a really smart kid, too. He learned the periodic table when he was 4 years old, memorized it. You could give him a number, and he'll tell you what that is on the periodic table when he was 4 or 5 years old. He memorized all the countries in the world, all their capitals. He's got really good at chemistry. He plays piano. Like I said, he's been in 5 different recitals now. He's played at old folks' homes. He's a really sweet kid, and he's telling me he wants to go home every day.
Because that's his home?
He's lived here his entire life. He hasn't been away from me for a single day up until now.
Yeah.
I've never been away from him for a full 24 hours until this happened.
We're going to get this figured out for you. Don't worry about it.
Well, I have to be honest. It didn't start off very well. I'm not gonna. If I can get my kids back, it's all water under the bridge to me. I just want my boys back.
Sure, I understand. Sometimes it's called you got to be tactful in certain situations, and clearly some of that was lacking on both of our ends. But I definitely could see and understand now the situation you're under, and I think you know that we're just the middleman. We go and do things that judges tell us to do, and we're not for anybody or against anybody, Jeremy. We're just doing what we've been advised to do by the judge. And I can understand why you think that something is awry because the paperwork you're calling about is not available in the courts at this time. But we wouldn't be doing things like this important, without somebody saying, go do this with a judge's signature and all the paperwork lined out for us. And I can see you don't have it all in front of you right now, and I can see why you're questioning everything, and your kids are not there with you, and that's a difficult situation, and you're handling it as best as you can, and nobody's giving you the answers you want to hear right now, so I can tell why you could be upset. So.
Hey, Jeremy?
Lieutenant
Yeah.
Romer just showed up.
Jeremy.
Yes.
Hey, what is your email address? You got it?
Sure. You can send it to Gemel Trust. It's J as in Jeremy, E as in Eric, M as in Mary, L as in Larry, Trust, Trust,
Trust?
2020.
Oh, trust.
No, like business trust. T as in Tom, R-U, S as in Sam, T as in Tom.
All right.
And then 2024 at gmail.com.
Okay. I went to the actual judge, into the JA. We're going to send you the actual minute entry, which is gave us the authority on that child custody deal, and you'll have that. And I asked her, I told her, hey, he said he called down there and talked to Anna and said that there was no such thing. She goes, well, unfortunately, that person may have gave you some bad advice, bad information. So I did find it, and I'm going to have it scanned. I'm going to send it to you, and that basically gives the authority to what was issued on the warrant to take physical custody of the children.
Gotcha. So the judge himself is saying that a minute entry with no signature on it is enforceable.
No, it's signed. It's signed by the judge. It's signed by it.
No, it wasn't signed on when they did it, though.
Oh, well.
Oh, man. So now they're switching it up to, they're just making up the law as they go along, I guess.
Don't change words in my mouth. What it is, you're going to get certified. You're going to get a certified copy. This means this is true and legit, and what it is, and that's they're going by that as the deal. You don't have the clerk saying, okay, hey, let's change it up. No, it's all everything they do.
What are you giving me a copy of?
It's going to be the minute entry that says, okay, you failed to show up to court. Matter of fact, if you I can send it to you if you want.
I know what it is. It says case on dismissal calendar. Is that what it says on it?
Hang tight. I'm going to send it to you right now. Hold on. Keep on the phone, guys.
He's going to send it to you, Jeremy.
I already know. I think I know what it is.
Minute entry is something that happens with the judge and it's recorded.
And it
doesn't need.
Yeah, there's a case where it's called, I want to say it's Klein versus Klein. You can an unsigned minute entry is not an enforceable order, though. That's the problem.
Minute entry is just documents the judge's.
Yeah, they're not an official order. That's not an order. A minute entry, unless it's signed, and if you can't sign it after the fact, you had to have it signed before the fact.
Minute entries are not signed.
Right.
They're just.
That's why it's not an order.
the judge's order is included in that entry.
He's got to sign it though, or it's not enforceable. You tell me the judge did this? The
Okay.
judge gave you a minute entry and said that's what gives him the authority to take the kids.
Okay. Did you get it yet?
Am I in the right? No, I did not.
All right, let me go check. You want us to give you a call back?
I'm just trying to understand this. Does the thing that you emailed me, does it say case on dismissal calendar on it?
I don't know. Lieutenant
37.
Rollins is in his office right now emailing you.
Because I know the minute entry, but a minute entry is not an order either. And even the clerks knew that. They know that's not an order. And they still don't have the warrant on the docket. I don't know what they're doing. They're just, you're going to tell me that I make up the law. They're making up the law. They're making up the law as they go along. I can show you, it says in Arizona, what was it, 47K1, Arizona Rules of Family Law Procedure, a signed order is to be enforceable, it has to be a signed order. I'll pull it up. I can read it off to you.
All right.
Rule 47. Motions for temporary orders, which this is what this is. It's a temporary order. Enforceability of temporary orders. Now, when I read enforceability of temporary orders, it's saying, is this temporary order enforceable? Like, can a sheriff come and enforce this order on you? When enforceable? Temporary orders signed by the court and filed by the clerk are enforceable as final orders, but terminate and are unenforceable upon dismissal of the action. That's why it says on there, case on dismissal calendar, because it's only good for so long, but it has to be signed. It was never, that's the key word in that sentence, signed and filed, which means it has to be signed by the judge and then filed into the system. Nothing was signed and filed into the system. So whatever anybody said, it really doesn't matter. Nothing was signed and filed in the system according to the very pertinent part of the law. It's Arizona Family Law Procedure. It's the section on temporary orders, which is exactly what this is, a temporary order. It even says on the paperwork, temporary order. And then it doesn't have a signature on it, and it wasn't filed. So no, people aren't doing what they're supposed to do. What was the other one? And go ahead.
Go ahead and look at your email.
I'll look again.
It should be there any second now. You want me to kind of give you the gist of it?
Sure.
Okay, so basically it says that on May 16th, the contempt of file was on the 16th. And they're saying that you failed to show up. You're not present by
For what?
yourself.
Wait. Hold on. I'm confused. There was nothing hearing on the 16th.
Look at your email.
I don't have anything. Wait, are you talking about this month? Like 2 days ago, 16th?
No, May 16th. No, I found out that you filed a lot of paperwork since we talked.
Yeah, because when you took my kids at church, you said I was going to have a hearing the next morning. Remember that?
Oh, I told you to call the courts to schedule a hearing. That's what I told you.
I did. I called. I didn't just call them. I showed up.
All right, but I didn't tell you had a hearing. I told you to schedule. So anyway, here it says the court notes the fathers failed to participate in these court proceedings. While the court shall not issue contempt findings against the father's time, additional orders shall be issued. Let the record reflect. So here's the orders being followed. Mother's counsel presents the courts with a verified application for the issuance of a warrant to take physical custody of minor children. File petitioner's verified application for the issue of warrant of custody of minor children, and it concluded at 347. Thus, that line entry, this document that I sent to you, that then transcends into the warrant to take physical custody of the children. That is what. That's what it
Who
has.
told you that? Who told you that?
I'm not saying who told you. I'm look at your document.
No, I'm saying who told you that? Who told you that that's how it works?
I went to the court. I went to the judge's office.
So the judge told you that?
No, their assistant told us this. When she says
the assistant said what you're saying right now. That's what the assistant said.
That's what precipitated into the warrant to take physical custody of the children.
Okay, that's not how it works though, because
either way, whether you get to point A to point B, whether you go through A, B, C, and D, we're at the point B, and the warrant was issued to take physical custody of the children. Whether you think it went the right way or the wrong way, that's what it is. What we did, it's not like we wake up in the morning and say, hey, let's go mess with some of these kids. All this information is vetted and checked. We check with the JA to make sure, okay, this is legit, yes, legit. So what happens, unfortunately, you're right. You may have called somebody down there, and they may have told you some bad information that was not correct or accurate, or they didn't even...
Yeah, but the thing that let me cut you off for a sec, because what you're telling me isn't what I was calling about anyway. I was talking about a warrant not existing. There's no warrant on the record.
Not anymore, there's not. It was executed. You're right.
Yeah, but it still has to be put on the record for transparency. It has to be on when you go to Superior Court Maricopa and it's got all the things that have been filed into the case, there's supposed to be a thing for warrant on there.
Jeremy, when I hand you that piece of paper,
I know what you got. I know what it is. You're talking about the application for the verification of an issuance of a warrant, right?
No, it says warrant to take physical custody of children. That's exactly what I handed to you.
Okay, well then like I said, that was supposed to be filed. If that's what it is, then I guess they magically showed up with it after the lady told me they didn't have it. That said, that still doesn't mean that it's valid.
I'm going to agree.
That's just one thing.
That information, but when I went right to the horse's mouth on this, the JA, she's the one who said, "No, Alan, this is exactly what it is. This is how it became into child custody support, or the warrant to take physical custody of the children." That's exactly that. What I just sent you results into that warrant to take physical custody of children.
Okay. A hearing thing that says like the stuff for the contempt hearing does not turn into a order to take children. It doesn't. That's not how it works. An order to take care. Okay, fine. Go ahead. How are you gonna learn anything if you're always talking to me? I'm telling you what I know for a fact, and you're just like talking over me.
What happened is, had you gone to court and followed the steps, you would understand what the process was. She did a petition. You were ordered to come to court, or you were told to come to court.
I never got served. I never got served, sir. I never was served to go to court. I didn't break any rules. I didn't break a single rule. I didn't break any rules. I didn't look.
And the council then the council made a presentation to the judge. The judge says, "Hey, all right, we're starting here. Jeremy's not here, so we're going to move forward." That is how
they can't do that because I was never served first of all for that hearing on the 3rd. I was never served for that. I have to be served. They can't just make a determination when they never even gave me notice of it.
Okay, Jeremy,
how does that work?
You're talking to the sheriff's office. You need to be talking to the courts. You're barking up the wrong.
Well, I have been. But the problem is that there are some things that you guys didn't do right either. When you were executing this warrant, you needed to have a signed copy of the order that doesn't exist because there is no signed order. And having a motion for contempt, that doesn't become an order. That's a motion for a contempt hearing. That has nothing to do with it says more orders shall follow. You even said orders shall follow. Well, where's the order? What order are we talking about? There is no other order.
I'll tell you. I think what needs to happen. Well, I believe what needs to happen here is, I believe you need to. Do you have counsel? Let me ask you that. Do you have a counsel?
You know what needs to happen? No, I don't have the money for that right now. And here's the deal: the law's not being followed, man. I can tell you that for a fact. This is what the conversation I just had with your sergeant. I'm not stupid, okay? I'm not stupid. I know I can read the laws and go, this is what this means. And I know that a motion for a contempt hearing was, they filed a motion for a contempt hearing. They had their contempt hearing on the 3rd that I was never served. I had to be served for the hearing. That meant somebody had to put the papers in my hand and say, you need to go to this hearing. I never got that, okay? So they had the hearing, and he didn't find me in contempt because he knew that I was never served. That's why they never found me in contempt, because I was never served. That hearing paper...
You're barking up the wrong tree.
I know. Well, I'm telling you, the one thing that you guys did wrong was that you didn't serve me with the order, or that's in the law. I mean, I'm sorry. That's as crystal clear as it can get. 1061D says that when you execute a warrant, you got to have the warrant, a copy of the order, and a copy of the petition. And if the courts are telling you that a motion for contempt filed back in the 16th magically turns into orders, that's not true. An order that when he put on the paper that orders will follow, that means he writes a piece of paper that says order, and he signs it at the bottom. That's an order. And that never happened.
Jeremy,
and so now he's trying to sweep all this stuff under the rug and go, oh, well, this is all just magically becomes an order. This is what they used. No, that's not what you use. And you know what? This is why nothing's being put on the docket, because they know they can't make a paper trail of this, because it's all just bullshit. They're not putting it in the record because it's all BS. That's why it's not on the record.
Down to the courts. Have you been to the courts downtown Phoenix?
I've multiple times, dude. He hides behind locked doors. He's got his double doors up on the 6th floor, and you can't get back there to talk to him.
Right now, the best advice I can give you right now is I would suggest you come down here and speak to someone at the law library and help you navigate through this, because I don't know.
I'm perfectly navigated, buddy. I'm perfectly navigated.
You're not.
Yes, I am.
Understanding this. You're not.
I understand it perfect. There's no order. There is no signed order, period.
You may understand it, but you're not absorbing it. And what I'm saying is, I would recommend.
I don't think you're absorbing it. There's no signed order, period. You need a signed order. Look, I'll read what I read this.
I don't want to hear.
Okay, wait. Let me ask you a question. Lieutenant Romer. Is the Arizona Rules for Family Law Procedure, is that law? Are the statutes law?
I'm looking at that right now.
Are those the laws or not? Are the statutes and the rules for family law procedure, are those laws or not? Sir, is that the rules we follow? Are we following the rules and the laws that are as they're written?
Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to end this conversation and tell you, you need to go to speak to the Family Law Center, come down to the Law Center, and have them help navigate it. Come up with a bull. If you think that you have something right.
I don't think I know. I know. Listen, Lieutenant Romer, I don't think I know. I know.
Judge,
you're just talking over me and saying that I don't know and I got to talk to an attorney. You're making me jump through hoops that I shouldn't have to jump through because I didn't do anything wrong. You guys did stuff wrong.
I told you to contact the courts. Have you contacted the court? Do you have
I've contacted the courts plenty. Look, okay, you want to get the timeline? Here's the timeline. I find out from the Gilbert Sheriff that there's other stuff on my record. You want to hear or not? You don't know what you're talking about.
Do you have a date set to come speak to the judge?
Are you going to let me talk?
Do you have a date set?
I know I don't have a date to talk to anybody. He set a status conference hearing on the 23rd, but the problem is...
You have a status conference hearing on the June 23rd. There you go. That is your
But my kids want to come home now. My kids don't want to be there till the 23rd. You put them in the hands of a dangerous person.
I didn't put them in the hands of a dangerous person.
I didn't? I didn't have any knowledge of any of this. You guys just popped in on me on out of the blue, and you did all this stuff behind the scenes. How am I supposed to know? Nobody served me any papers.
Well, again, on your status hearing on June 23rd, that is the time you aired out. Again, I can't tell you enough. You're barking up the wrong tree here.
Well, all I'm saying for you guys is only one thing. I don't know what the hell the court's doing, but it'd be nice if you guys told the courts when they were wrong, like the Gilbert PD did. Gilbert PD said we need a signed order from the judge. I don't know why they can say, hey, we need a signed order before we do anything. You guys basically ignored that requirement, because it is a requirement. It's Arizona, right? You're not going to care. You guys just do what you want, but The Arizona revised statutes do say that you were
Gilbert
supposed to give me a
PD
signed order, and you didn't.
Gilbert PD or any of the city agencies cannot execute a warrant to take physical custody of a child.
But his exact words were...
Listen, it can only be done by the county sheriff's office. That's the only one that
Okay.
can do it. So Gilbert PD...
Well, they were asking for it. This knowledgeable lawyer, you told me to get a lawyer. Her lawyer was the one calling the Gilbert PD to do it. So if these lawyers were so good, why was she calling the Gilbert PD?
You had that lawyer
What's
call
that?
me, and I'll educate them as well.
Okay, but like I said, you're telling me I should find a lawyer to help navigate it, but this sounds like this lawyer didn't know what she was doing either.
I'm telling you to come down to the law center and all that, but listen, I'm going to hang up. I'm going to follow the status hearing on the 23rd, and we'll see how it results into. Have a good day, Jeremy.